Welcome back to r/LegalAdvice, where people ask questions, get advice, and we get satisfaction. If you are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our amazing community, and without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. And the first one is titled, Oregon Evicting Psychotic Brother-in-Law. Around 3 years ago, my mom let my sister and her husband move into a cottage on our property. The only rental agreement was he would pay the power bill. In the amount of time they have lived here, we've had to call the police at least 15 times on brother-in-law because he goes into violent rages over the pettiest problems. There have been physical fights on more than one occasion. And now he is trying to control everything that goes on here, including blocking us in and not allowing anyone to leave. He parked his tow truck in the driveway, preventing anyone from entering or leaving, and threw the keys. We don't even let our dogs into our front yard anymore for fear that he will hurt one of them. My parents are at the end of their ropes and want him gone. The only problem is he owns a successful business that he now runs out of our property, and we live paycheck to paycheck and cannot afford a legal battle with him, which is inevitably going to happen. How can we just get rid of him? My parents had a property dispute with a neighbor years ago that required a lawyer, so my dad recently went to see him and was told brother-in-law had already come to see him about a divorce and couldn't help. Any advice is greatly appreciated. I am tired of my family having to live with this psycho. And a user in the comments said, your parents, his landlords, can serve him either written 30-day notice to vacate if they've been tenants there for less than a year, or written 60-day notice to vacate if they've been tenants there for a year or longer, and if they fail to vacate after that amount of time, your parents can file for a formal eviction with the court system. Outside of some egregious and fringe situations, those are the really only legal options for getting rid of them. Optionally, your parents can offer to pay them to leave willingly sooner. They are under no legal obligation to accept a deal like that though. And guys, have you ever been in a similar situation, or maybe have you ever lived together with an awful roommate? Let us know in the comments. And the next one is titled, Update Evicting Psychotic Brother-in-Law. So the update, on Friday he had another episode, only this time he called the cops saying he was being threatened. They got here pretty fast. After about an hour talking with them, he was told he needed to leave for the night. Surprised though, he came back. Since then he's been trying to stir any crap any chance he can. This morning my parents went to the courthouse to file a restraining order against him, and by God's grace it was granted. He will have to stay 150 feet away from the property, and he will have 15 minutes to gather whatever he wants to take with him. Since it just came through, he has yet to be served, and knowing his past, he will probably flip his mind and leave in cuffs. I want to thank everyone who commented on my last post. You helped my mom understand that we can take control and we can get him out. We were on the road to an eviction, but his freakout and the restraining order just sped that process up. Thank you. Last update, the police showed up about 2 hours ago and caught him off guard with the restraining order. Surprisingly, he did not lose his cool, but he was short with the officers quite a bit. Said he's gonna fight it and whatnot. We are just happy he is gone. And the next one is titled, Neighbor has threatened suing me and other new homeowners because we have devalued the neighborhood by buying homes at their current market value. Background info, I will try and make this as concise as possible. I am in Northern Virginia and my wife and I bought our first home in December 2014. According to our real estate agent, homes in Nova were worth a lot more in the spring of 2014 than they were in the fall/winter of 2014/15. According to him, there was a mini housing bubble for a couple of months last year that crashed, and the Nova real estate market corrected itself. Today, homes are simply sitting longer and buyers are getting better deals than ever before. The townhouse we bought was originally sold 10 years ago, new construction, for $389,000. This June it was listed at $415,000, set on the market until late October when it went under contract for $385,000. The buyers lost their funding and the home appraised at less than the agreed upon purchase price. The home fell out of contract the first week of November and we made an offer of $370,000 that same day. We went to settlement on December 5th. The townhouse we bought is the largest of 4 model types, just shy of 3,000 square feet, an end unit, and is one of a small handful of end units that happen to have over 5,000 square feet of land. In total there are I think 85 townhomes in this portion of our master planned community. All of the homes in the community that are for sale are still sitting at the pre-bubble price / square feet of around $155 per square feet. We paid about $130 per square feet. The meat of the story is the following. It snowed here a few weeks ago and I had the opportunity to introduce myself to a few neighbors as we collectively complained about clearing snow from our driveways and sidewalks. I attempted small talk with douchebag, I will explain more about him in a minute, and he was generally unfriendly, but I chalked it up to being pissy about the snow. Why is he a D-bag, you ask? He drives a Range Rover, bumps very loud music through it at all hours of the night, typically comes home at 10 to 11 PM, drives very aggressively in the neighborhood, etc. It is one of those, you know it when you see it kind of things. Just take my word for it, he's a D-bag. So yesterday I'm getting a few things from my truck and see him and just make a friendly wave, say hello, make some small comment about the nice weather and smile. He looks at me and becomes visibly annoyed, hands clenched, defensive position, head turned cheery red. At this point I simply ask him, big mistake, if I have done something to upset him. Oh boy, he loses it. Long story short, he is overwhelmingly angry that I, among a few other new homeowners, have devalued the neighborhood because we bought homes that he thinks are now below market value, and this is going to start a trend of total devaluation of the neighborhood. In total, since mid-November, 4 homes have sold in and around the $360,000 to $370,000 range. All of them, including mine, went on the market in mid to late summer and were priced at spring level prices initially. Douchebag calls out the addresses of the other 3 homes and yells at me how much he thinks they should have sold for. He then goes on to discussing that the house that he bought a few years ago is now underwater in value as "this seems to be the new trend around here." At this point I am done with being yelled at in the middle of the street, tell him to calm down and that I am heading inside. He then makes a series of comments where he more or less said that he had an attorney in the family who he was going to get to help from and filed suit against the 4 new homeowners as we have devalued his property now. He is in the smallest model, middle unit, with the smallest yard. So now my question / concern. I know someone can bring suit for anything, my concern is that he is actually going to follow through with this. I and my 6-month pregnant wife are worried sick that he's going to cost us a lot of precious time and money. A quick Google search does not reveal much of anything if there's any established precedents or successful cases of existing neighbors suing new homeowners because they got a deal on a home. In the event I get served, what kind of attorney should I look for? Would this be something that my homeowner's insurance would help me with? Lastly, we have a pretty restrictive and responsive HOA. Should I let them know about this possible issue? And a user in the comments said, he will get laughed out of court. You are under no obligation to overpay for your home to suit his sense of what the market value of his own house is. And another person commented, I am hijacking the top comment to say this. Yes, I agree with everyone. He almost certainly has no cause of action here and any case he brought would be quickly dismissed. That being said, anyone can hire a lawyer and file a suit and you will need to answer. That means you will have to spend money and time hiring an attorney to give this idiot the legal smackdown. If you ignore his lawsuit, he can win by default, just to make sure you don't totally ignore it. As others have said, you can then file a claim against him for bringing a frivolous lawsuit if you wish. Best of luck. And guys, if you enjoy my legal advice content, please don't forget to like the video and post some star emojis in the comments, as that would help my channel tremendously and would make me very happy. Thank you so much in advance, and now let's move on to the next story. Update to the neighbor threatened to sue because we purchased a bigger better house story. And the plot thickens with an out-of-control idiot teenage son and the HOA being pretty annoyed. I know this is long, but trust me, it is well worth the read. Where to start? The other weekend Nova got snow. Where I live, we got a lot of snow, over 10 inches. I only have a lowly shovel. A neighbor I have never met owns a brand new, huge and powerful snow blower, and being the nice guy he is, he helped quite a few of us out in moving the mountains of snow that fell. I thanked him and told him I owe him a 6-pack of something delicious. After some polite, "Nah man, you don't have to do that" comments, he told me that if I were to pick something up and he were not home, one could place a 6-pack in the ledge decorative crate that is on his front porch between the rocking chairs, and he would not object to finding a delicious treasure in there. He's a nice guy. That following Monday, 3 days later, I went to the grocery store and among my items was my neighbor's 6-pack. I did as he said, put the beer in the crate on his porch, noticed his security camera and waved to his security camera. On Wednesday evening, I saw douchebag McG as I was pulling into my driveway. Hindsight, I am fairly certain he was likely waiting for me to get home. As soon as I get out of my truck, he starts shouting from across the street that I will be going to jail for providing alcohol to minors. He goes on to say that he discovered his kid wandering the neighborhood wasted on late Monday night. I immediately put 2 and 2 together and realized that his son stole the beer from my nice neighbor's front porch crate and drank it. I ignore him and walk right over to my nice neighbor's house and jokingly ask if he got my beers I left him. He says he didn't, and I tell him he may want to review the security camera footage for the last few days. He laughs and tells me that he already did that and directs me to his garage where he shows me his kid's damaged snow toys, the sleds, discs and tubes. From what him and I can piece together, I placed the beer in his crate in the evening. Douchebag's teenage son came onto his porch minutes after, stole the beer, kicked and left a dent and crack in the siding of the house, grabbed a sled and took off. We head into my nice neighbor's house to watch/review the security camera footage, and he shows me what he just described. Fast forward a few hours later, an obviously intoxicated teenager comes back with a broken sled and takes a disc and tube from the side of the house and pees on the AC unit before leaving. About 20 minutes later, he is back with his empty bottles, smashes a few of them in the gutter and puts the broken snow toys back on the side of the house. All this happened when the nice neighbor and family were not home. At this point, I tell nice neighbor about douchebag's legal threats and he decides that we should speak about him at the next night's Wednesday HOA meeting. I head home, ignoring douchebag's continuous yells from across the street. Wednesday night comes and nice neighbor and I get up and address our problems with douchebag to the HOA. Nice neighbor starts by talking about the theft as well as the damage to his kids' toys and siding. I get up and discuss the legal threats made. At the same time, the other 3 new neighbors get up and grumble that douchebag had threatened them with a suit as well. One woman, a tiny waif of a woman mind you, said that he cornered her against her car when she got home a few weeks ago. She went on to say that he seemed pretty drunk too. At this point, the HOA president, the attorney for the HOA, and the property management representative call for calm in the room. Other neighbors were getting mad and ask those of us who have been threatened by douchebag to stick around, including nice neighbor. According to my wife, while I was traveling for work this Monday, cops showed up at nice neighbor's house in the late afternoon, took a statement and a flash drive of the video. Nice neighbor came over to my house and told my wife that the HOA told him to go ahead and call the cops to report property destruction and trespassing. The cops assured him that they are not interested in speaking with me, that they are going after this little guy because he's a problem at his high school and that they are not unfamiliar as to who he is. Again, according to my wife, the cops then head over to douchebag's house and after some yelling, Douche Jr. comes outside and they arrest him. My wife said they pulled out of his pockets what looked like a small bag of weed and a glass pipe. I got home late last night and received an email this morning from the HOA president addressed to me, nice neighbor, and the other 3 new homeowners. In it stated that they were made aware by the cops that they had arrested the teenager and that the HOA attorney was looking into figuring out a way to stop the legal threats from douchebag. We were assured that there's no legal precedence for suing someone because they purchased something for less than you did, but nonetheless they are here to help if need be. So that is where we sit. And guys, I did a little bit of further research into this story, even though it wasn't really easy, if I gotta be honest with you. And from what I could gather, at one point the neighbor essentially just stopped with the legal threats because he noticed that essentially the entire neighborhood and the HOA is against him. So that is what caused him to stop in the end. I did not renew my lease that ended on 30th July, however, I received a notice today that I owe $10,000+ in damages, cleaning and eviction fees for a lease term that started on 31st July. My roommate had chosen to renew the lease by herself and was evicted on 2nd November. I am located in Middle Tennessee. I am writing up an email now to officially dispute the debt as I did not renew the lease for that property. Here is the rundown. I signed a lease with my old roommate for 1 year. I signed a notice to vacate along with her and her co-signer on 1st June 2016 and was told that my lease ended on 30th July 2016. My roommate told me, and I still have the text messages, that she would be renewing the property on her own. I also confirmed that indirectly with the property management company because the 60-day notice to vacate states that it is due to a roommate change and that should release me of the liability. I specifically asked them to confirm that I was not accidentally on the new lease as their online system had updated prior to end of the original lease with the new lease dates, but my name was still listed in the top right hand corner as the roommate. Well, I got a notice today that I have 30 days to pay them over $10,000. They also enclosed an itemized list of all the charges and fees for late rent, damages and cleaning. My old roommate got evicted on 2nd November. So this brings me to, I guess, a few questions. If they don't accept my dispute and say that I am still liable, what kind of lawyer do I need? In the original lease it stated that if I take them to court that I have to pay for all of their court fees. Does that apply outside of my lease term? If they have a signed lease by me, since it was all done electronically for the original lease, what kind of lawyer do I need to pursue fraud? I did not sign the second lease. In fact, I moved out a month into the original lease and proceeded to continue paying my share of the rent because I did sign the original lease and knew it was my legal responsibility to pay because I signed the lease. However, I did not sign the renew. Any other advice or knowledge would be extremely helpful. And someone commented, this is a landlord-tenant issue, I would not contact the other roommate. Is there a number to call on the notice? Is it an invoice/bill or a court document about a judgment that was already given against you? This seems like it is as simple as calling the people and showing them your expired lease and notice to vacate as well as the lease/bills for your new place. They might still be after you because they think the damage was caused before you left. They usually don't inspect if a current tenant is continuing to live there. I would gather pictures you have of the place close to when you left to show that the damage was done after you left. Seems like there was a big party or something that did a lot of damage and she's trying to say it was from before. Update to the lease story. So my dispute actually went over well. I received an email from the account services specialist whose name was signed at the bottom of the notice. I apologize for the error and have corrected the account. You are no longer listed as a resident in the home after 30th July and are not liable for the final debt. So luckily I will not need to get a lawyer at this time nor have to worry about $10,000+ going on my credit as a debt or a judgment or anything. I will however be looking into whether an eviction was filed against me or if this was the only mistake associated with that property. If an eviction was filed against me, then I will have to go down that road of getting it removed and will be consulting with a lawyer from there. Hopefully this is the end of it. Thank you all for your advice, I really appreciate it. I hope this also serves as a great example to anyone who needs to learn it. Keep all documentation and emails when it comes to contracts and leases. And guys, unfortunately, we have already reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories, and if you haven't already, please also go to patreon.com/ripeyoutube, where I upload exclusive Reddit videos starting at just $3 a month. This is a great way to support me in case you are interested, and the chance for me to become independent from YouTube revenue. Thank you so much for watching, please don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.